when we talk about this, we always think of the a collective memory that can be identified with the Jutes. When we talk about in the Old Testament, there is a very prominent mm, uh, sacrament that is called as Passover. So this Passover is a festival that the Jews and the very Orthodox Christians they follow. Maybe from the outer side you may not understand the intensity of what it is, but only the community at large, they will know what it is and what it reminds of a few years before, or their ancestors, what they faced and how it was being observed and why it is observed and so on. So that is the act of remembrance, what they called as zakor. The actual word they use as it is a traditional word zahor, which means remember, which has got a reflection in the New Testament also, the same thing, but in a very different way when Christ says this, saying that do this in remembrance of me. So that remembrance, only those people who are connected with it and who has got a collective idea of what it means can understand this. So this is what we term it as collective memory. It is a social context of discourse favored by a particular community or clan, whatever we say. So the next one is communicative memory. So communicative memory, it is uh, it is the shared memory with the social community, where the sharing is based exclusively upon everyday communication, more like the oral discourse or oral tradition, where you remind of your old stories or your families or your past ancestral stories and everything. The source that of sharing is derived from personal experiences, which are said to be preserved in the oral form. So this has got a very valid feeling when you have stories of your own families, or where stories of your own religion or your villages or your particular spaces. So where you talk, where you go and talk more of this, and only people understand those uh, people belonging to that. They only can understand that, and you keep repeatedly talking on it on a daily basis or in a uh, uh, or often. So that can be given as communicative memory. Next one is cultural memory, where you have the representations of the past transposed into a cultural support, which can be relied on material objects or material artifacts like memorials and monuments. When you think of an object, or when you see something, you immediately get reminded of something. Your memory travels, and your memory just gets the idea of in what way it is associated with you, or any other story that it is related to you. So it facilitates the intergenerational transmission of social memories. So that is what the difference between the communicative memory and the cultural memory. So we can say that the communicative memory can be termed as the first one and the social memory, whereas the cultural memory can be termed as the second and the collective memory. So when you see that difference between these two, communicative memory is internalized, cultural memory is externalized. like objects that leads to cultural memory. And collective memory involves both communicative and cultural memory, where both the individuals and the group member share their own living or lived experiences as collective, form an entangled relationship. So it is entangled relationship. So the notions of collective memory exemplifying that history or the oral history gets overlapped to a considerable extent. In a way, collective memory, we can say that history or the oral tradition or the oral history are influencing and conditioning each other. Collective memory consists of common stock of personal memories of public events, we can say, which can be taken as the second-hand memories uh, shared by the group individuals or the families. So this can be the distinction between the communicative and the cultural. So when we talk about these two, we are getting into a new term called memo history, which was coined by Asman in the year 1997. So this has a very fascinating fact saying that history writing will not help one to have a comprehensive understanding of the past, but he says that uh, but it is in a very influential way that it can be presented when the knowledge of the past is transferred, especially to the next generation. There is a very big shift, and the focus gets on the events of the past, create a greater impact in the present situation or the present condition. So the shift in the recognition of the events of the past gives a rise to a new approach to the study of memory and history, which has taken place in the late 90s, that is in 1997 by Asman. So when we talk about all these things, writers always had this concept of memory being employed to rewrite or represent or to construct again the history that has been told, especially after the colonial era. When we talk about the writers, the post-colonial writers, they always resort to history because they feel, uh,
ಸ್ವರ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್
sorry, history is tampered with or rewritten and realigned from the point of the view of the victims of destructive progress. This is being taken from Ashcroft, Empire Writes Back, and I hope we all have come across this statement. History is a tampered one. It is rewritten, realigned from the point of the view of the victims of destructive progress, which means the victim of the colonized. The histories of the colonized lacks a specific fixity, and it is full of gaps. Okay, so in order to bridge those gaps only, now writers have come up to bridge those gaps and rewrite or recreate the missing gaps and to fill those gaps. So, very prominent writers are there talking about this, like bridging those gaps. We have Nepal, who have talked so much on it, and uh, we have Salman Rushdie, few notable writers, and I have taken for today's topic a writer called M.G. Vasanji. Okay, he is a post-colonial writer and a diasporic writer. He has been doubly displaced, and so he finds history as a received history and wants to construct an alternate way of presenting true history, which is embedded in oral tradition and myths of his own community called Shamshi community. He belongs to that community, Shamshi, and he's doubly here. His origins are in India, but they have been settled. His his ancestors have settled in Africa, and then they have moved to Canada. So he's a doubly displaced writer. So his attempt, Vasanji's attempt, was to fix, which we call as fleeting. So, this is the question of why these writers, when we ask the question why. So this is the main purpose. So what is the purpose of this? Is the emergence of memory as a category of academic discourse is a healthy result of decolonization. We should understand that first. So it is a very healthy topic, and which has paved the way to understand a healthy concept of decolonization. This kind of employment of memory appears to serve the problem of post-colonial writing, either by consuming history whole or by weaving it into so as to provide an authentic linkage with the past. So that is the main purpose of these writers. Why, when we ask the question why, this is the purpose. They say memory comes to history's aid, help, and this has become the dominant feature of decolonization too. So this is one of the features that we talk about. So when we talk about uh, the deconstruction, when we talk about construction of history or reconstruction of history, there is one more term that I wanted to talk on, what we called as mythistry. So this is a very interesting one. So what is this is, the function of history and collective memory can be the complementary, and its confluence creates mythistry. Oh, what is that? It is a mythical representation of the past, where you have the historical facts from the history and you organize them, and according to the mythological logic of the collective memory. So you combine all these, and this is a very interesting term that has been coined later, called as mythistry. So we have talked about uh, uh, collective memory. We have talked about cultural memory. We have talked about memoistry. We have talked about mythistry. And coming back to how it is used, in the particular sense in writers like Vasanji. Okay. So as I told you, he's a doubly displaced writer. Okay. So his process of remembering includes the past, where he uses all these techniques, what we call as techniques, all these mm, techniques of memory, uh, be it communicative, be it cultural or collective or memoistry. So he has used all these, and he has experienced this uh, in his novels, and he has written many novels, and in all these novels you find these terms and these skills employed to facilitate his creative process. So Vasanji, even the slightest or the insignificant even can draw thoughts. That is a very valid statement. He says that even a very slight thing, a slight that can run very deep into your memory. Where he says that, for example, here, a kiss is not just a kiss. At the external level, we say he kissed, but the senses that is employed, the condition aided by all the five senses. So it has a mystic chord of memory and are always magical and effective. So that can be a very good example that he says that uh, maybe you can remember your first kiss, uh, which you which we cannot forget. Maybe the first kiss, maybe your childhood kiss, or your adolescent, or your adult, or whatever it is. Maybe that still lingers in our memory. That still lingers in our memory, somewhere down through the memory lane. It is always there. So when you see something, or when you just get the idea of this, or whenever you are prompted to see, so this immediately connects to your memory, and memory never stands still. That's what the very valid point that he says that even a very little small thing can bring much remembrance. So that is why in most of his novels, he uses the artifacts. The small, small things. Maybe in the Ganisak novel, like Ganisak, where the Jibai, there is a character called Jibai, where she pulls out one object after the other. Each and every object has got a particular story, a particular connection of people, of emotions, and it has got a story. And you can also relate this personally when you look at your home also. When you see, look around your home, maybe all have this idea of coming across, or we have come saying that there will be a very old chair or a table in your household, where you say, this is from my great grandfather's period. This is there for 100 years. This is there for 80 years. And it has got a story to say, which has been shared quite often to the upcoming generations, quite often to the family, and to whoever asks about it, why it is there, or what connection it has. You talk about it, or a old jewelry, or a sari that has been passed on from one generation, whatever it is, maybe whatever, a small thing. So the artifacts draw perpetuation of past through recollections of spent emotions. It has got so much of emotions. I remember my teacher when I was doing my PG. My teacher, she was literally crying when she lost her ear studs, and the screw of the ear stud got lost, and she was searching, and she made all of us to search, and she told with so much of emotion, this is from my party. I don't want to lose it. It is not the matter of the value of the gold, or it is not the matter of something else, but it has got so much of emotions. It has been transferred from my party, which from my mother it has come to me, so I don't want to lose it. So that kind of recollection that you spend through emotions, when you see small things, also has got great impressions and representations in you. Individuals sometimes take their own remembrance, and at sometimes are led to remember. So why are they in our life, or why we come across this is, so it is a kind of a remembrance. So when we look at that, immediately we remember that. We when we see someone like dressed like our father, or some manners that goes similar with our father or mother, or grandfather, we immediately associate it in our minds. This reminds me of my father, or this reminds me of my great grandmother, or whatever it is. So that is what he says. So memory never stands still. It keeps on bringing ripples in our minds, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, and so on. I have given all the few novels of Vasanji here, where all these techniques are employed by Vasanji. So one said about the Ganisak. The other one, you have a very beautiful presentation in the Book of Secrets. There is a novel called Book of Secrets, where there is a diary. There is a diary. There is a person called Alfred Corbin, whose diary acts as a mnemonic device of some other person. The narrator, Pius Fernandez, I remember, Pius Fernandez. Okay, so the diary is a kind of a record where you record the dates, names, events, and so on. So a diary need not be objective, and it is incomplete too. The passage of a diary from the hands of one person to the other, from uh, one character to the other, is always seen as a symbolic transportation of past to the present. It is from the past to the. A diary can be always treated as a personal, though, but it is held in the possession of its owner, and it loses its subjectivity when it is passed on to the other person. When you say it is so personal, but it loses its subjectivity when it is passed on to the other. The passage of diary can be compared to the passage of ideas, events, which are being passed from one generation to the other through individual and collective memory. So both, it can be both individual and even a collective memory. So this is so the tracing of the past falls into different levels, where you, based on the individual memory, the history of the community, the immigrants' feelings, the cultural and collective memory, and and so on. It goes on and on. So when you have the other novels like in between the world of No New Land, America. Okay, you have all the protagonists have the same feeling of representing these kind of memories of the past to the present. That is the when you have a protagonist in America, the novel called America, No New Land, and in between the world of Vikram Lal, they all experience the same feeling of their community, that is the Samshi community, in an alien land like America and Canada, where they have been displaced. So that is the experience that they share in these novels. So always it is a confession of the narrator. We can take it as that way. When the very first line in the novel called In Between the World of Vikram Lal, the very first line, the novel starts like this: "My name is Vikram Lal." So he just wanted to present uh, or a kind of a confession uh, honestly to everyone, so that it can be passed on to the other generations. And he shares the overflow of his emotions from his memory to achieve revelation. So these are the approaches that we can look at these novels, where he says that I do not intend here to defend myself or even seek redemption through confession. He says, I simply crave to tell my story. He says that, okay, I simply crave to tell my story. So this is the protagonist statement that is, whereas you have in Assassin Song, a novel called Assassin Song, there is a character called Carson. Okay, so he says that uh, uh, he doesn't want to be a Gadivara, the keeper of religious place, a Gadivara, because his family has been doing the same for generations. So the successor, he doesn't want to be called as avatar of that Pir Bagh. Pir Bagh is a worshipping place, uh, as his father used to be the keeper of that worshipping place, and he doesn't want to be that. So he says that I did not want to be God or his trustee or his avatar. So when he has that stories of his family from one generation to another generation, this is what you are. So when they get the stories, what they do here, the Carson, he feels that no, I don't want to be this. I want to be a different person. I want to come out of this. Okay, so that is the memories aid that helps this protagonist to come out of that. So you have the Saida, magic of Saida. Okay, so suddenly somewhere after 35 years, this protagonist travels to a place to find out his childhood love. 35 years. Yeah, he's married, he has children, she is married, and she got, and suddenly the name, he's a doctor, so suddenly the name, uh, he got reminded suddenly somewhere. So he leaves everything. All of a sudden, he leaves everything. He travels back to uh, the place, Dar Islam, I think. I'm not wrong. It should be clear. It's in Africa. So he travels to that after 35 years to search this childhood love. So you can relate it to our Tamil movies also. People suddenly getting reminded of their childhood love, or even mm, I can throw a light on the very famous series. Yeah, the series which now it's a very hot series where everyone likes to watch, Heartbeat, where the doctor all of a sudden he wanted to trace his, go back to his childhood love and see uh, uh, those series. I don't know how to put that series, teleseries or whatever series. So that is the uh, thing that I wanted to relate here to Saida. So he's also a doctor. So he wanted to go back and see. So the ripples of memory, haunted by the ripples of memory. So these people are, they wanted to have, they wanted to find out the answers. So they can't live a normal life with this memory coming again and again in them. So he undertakes the search, a bold search. After 35 years, he leaves everything. So that is how he goes and searches Saida. But that at the end of the thing, it is not very successful. It is a very fatal end. When you read the novel, you can understand it is a fatal end. They both of them will end. So memory in all these novels is activated through external agencies like people, places, artifacts, objects, things, and that exists in the outside world. Whereas the novel like Nostalgia, where the memory happens inside the brain, it is a scientific process. It is very, very nostalgia, very, very different from uh, the other novels, where there is a fight that is going on between the brain, and it is a scientific process that it cannot hold, and it comes. So those dead circuits in the brain, somewhere in under hidden inside the nerves, so the dead circuits, and brings more of them back. So digging your past. your past comes suddenly somewhere and it creates so much of impact in you. So, when you talk about the writings of Vasanji, you can always find similarities with Vasanji and Joseph Conrad, uh, who always has a very close cliche with Nepal, who says that who also have talked about the ancestral past, the real past, the legendary past, uh, or who are were the reason for each of his being both physically and imaginatively. Okay. So writers like you can also connect with writers like Rushdie, Salman Rushdie, Achibi, Chinu Achibi, and Nazareth, who also have used realism as a strong imagery to evoke a world that contrasts sharply with the of a largely foreign reader. So Vasanji finds this process of creation is special and it is different from other writers who have a sense of historical continuity. So he has a different way of presenting things. Uh, with the aid of memory, he presents a historical continuity. So that is his special skill. Um, uh, so to talk about the entire thing, we can say that literature is always uh, vice versa. When you say literature influences history and history influences literature. So this cannot be mm, denied. Creative writers are often attracted or by being influenced by the events and the people of uh, who write history or who tell history or they take history. So they cannot but start writing fictional stories about such personalities of history. And we all know that always history is also a product of time, milieu, and man. When we talk about Shakespeare's plays, we always uh, get to know the Elizabethan society, the society of that time, where maybe we have not lived in that society, but the when you have the plays of Shakespeare, okay, so it portrays the Elizabethan society. Similarly, one can understand the English life by reading the novels of Jane Austen, the 19th century English life from Charles Dickens and Thomas Hardy. So these novels, though cannot be considered as histories, one can learn about English life from them. So simultaneously, you can learn the history from these novels. They may lead or help the readers to discover many things, according to creative things, creative ideas, and so on. When this literary texts are studied with parallel with the non-literary documents, uh, more ideas emerge. One seems to engage in the activities of new historicism to discover the presentness of the past. Uh, so that is one of the best things that these writers come up with. Um, so when you talk about, when we speak of this, and speaking for the time being on behalf of where I came from, we cannot enough of the world or we hardly get enough of ourselves. Literature tells us not only about others, it also does tell about ourselves. This is a statement by Asma Syed, a critic, a notable critic, Asma Syed. She says that literature tells us not only about others, it also tells us about ourselves. So you have Robert Penn Warren also complementing the same idea, says that for if poetry is the little myth we make, History is the myth we live, and in our living, constantly we remake. So, so this is a complimentary statement which goes along with Asma Saeed, which has been talked by Robert Penn. So it is constantly we do it. uh, we remake and we recreate, and we try to rewrite, and not only others' lives but also ours. So that is what the best thing of Robert Penwarin complementing the statement of Asma Saeed would be. So in all the fictions that we have talked, okay, all the fictions that we have talked, so the force that employs Vasanji uh, to establish the identity of his roots, his community, his practices, his ancestors, all comes through memory. So that is the fort of Vasanji. It is the strongest fort of Vasanji, we can say. He uses memory in a very excellent way, which aids history and which uh, supports his memory, and he recreates it and to the present condition. And that is what the employment of memory can dig the past and make the present a beautiful and memorable one. Uh, so I have given a very brief idea of this, and uh, maybe mm, I should have some more time, but I think I have talked. I have thrown some light into the topic, and young people can dwell this topic for their research too. It is a very valid subject nowadays, where you can talk of how memory and history can recreate or reconstruct. So this can be a very valid topic also. Uh, so is there any, is that okay? Is there any questions, any feedback?
Sir, there is a question posted by someone in the chat box.
Yeah.
Uh, Kotashri has posted it. So, good afternoon, sir, she says. And beyond simple temporal shifts, what are some innovative ways experimental or postmodern authors use flashbacks, flash forwards, or non-linear structures to demonstrate that a character's memory is an active force shaping their present identity?
Yeah, this is what we talked with in connection with the Ganisak, which we represented earlier, the first novel that uh, we talked about. Uh, the very small linear, very small idea, a very small object, a very small uh, mm, emotion that of the past can bring in so much of memories which can recreate in you, and which you can pass it on to the present generation about your trait, about your family, about your roots, about your uh, uh, sentiments and everything. So it is always taken as a platform to create. So that is what we can find out from these things. Memory aids, though memory helps you to bring out these ideas in you from small things, from small objects. Call You can call it as even a small pen, which has been transferred to you from your father or your grandfather. It has got a lot of connectivity with you, and with this you can develop, or you can say, you can recreate uh, the stories that you have in you.
Are there any other questions, participants?
There is also another question posted by Professor Chris sir. Like, he has asked, "What's your thoughts on memory of forgetting, sir?"
Memory of forgetting. Forgetting, we can't. Though the more you tend to forget, you keep on remembering that. So even Vasanji has talked on this. The active forgetting. Active forgetting is impossible. You tend to forget it. The more you tend to forget, the more it you remember it. Active forgetting is impossible. You can't. Active remembering can be done. Active remembering is a good thing. You remember and your memory power also increases. But active forgetting, I think we can't.
We also have another question, so thank you for the answer. But we also have another question. Like, again, Kotashri has come up with a question. Looking ahead in this digital era, how might the rise of digital memory, such as social media and digital archives, change the way authors depict personal identity in contemporary literature?
Yeah, when we say memory, it is a gift. It is a man, the very brain. It is a God-given gift. You store in your memory. Uh, it is a God-given gift that I would say. So when you compare it to the digital memory, sometimes your digital memory get exhausted, maybe depending on the GB or whatever the storage capacity it has. But we have the infinite capacity to remember. So it is a gift, I would say. It is a treasure house. You can store innumerable amount of uh, vast storage, that I would say. It is a gift that a human possess. And as we say that language is a gift for the humans, like this is a gift that we have, that God-given gift. So it cannot be compared with the digital memory.
So can I ask you one question? Like, when it comes to history and memory, uh, we though memory is like it is though it is collective memory, we can't say that it is very much objective, and we can't rely on it as much as possible, because it becomes history is something which has to be addressed to an objective audience, but when it is been told by a person, it becomes very much subjective, sir. So how can we handle that challenge of um,
That is what I told you. So that
mm,
is why. So the histories, many of the histories that we have, is been uh, by someone else who have not experienced it. So they have written the histories. That is what the post-colonial writers are attempting to do it, recreate the history from their own point of view, from their feeling, uh, from their perspective. So they are just recreating it to the better way, and that is what I talked about, the filling of gaps. There are so much of gaps in history because it was not written by the people who have experienced it. It has been told, they have heard. I could say to you that um, some time back, people say that India is a land of snake charmers, bullock carts, and jungle. So the Western idea of having this in their mind, they still think that India is a land of snake charmers, magicians, bullock carts, and jungle. But it is not true. It is not so. So this is what we are now telling them or recreating it. So this is not true. We are filling those gaps. It is not true. It is something else that we have. It is something else that we are. It is something that is precious to us. It is something that we are developing. We are here for a better means. So this is what the present scenario is. So that is what uh, the learned, the acquired memory that they have about India is getting changed. Writers bringing in the uh, best uh, the best and the honest idea of our country. So this can be the best example that I can give you for this question, I think.
thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So there is one more question. They have asked for examples. So what are examples where counter memories, subjective personal accounts, challenge the official version of the past produced by institutions?
Is it a question or a paragraph that you are reading, Ravina?
You repeat the question, please.
Jeevanandan sir's question, sir, at 548. So they have asked for examples where counter memories challenge the official version of the past.
I didn't get it, Ravina. Can you repeat it?
So they are asking for the examples, sir,
Okay.
where counter memories, as in subjective and personal account, challenge the official version of the past produced by institutions.
Yeah. When we have this, thank you, Jivanandam, where I just thought of saying it. So you have your own way of understanding certain things. Where we talked about this Passover, when we talked about this Passover, where from the external point of view, you can't understand what it is because it has got certain rituals to be uh, observed, and the meat has to be consumed within the family members. It has not to go outside, and within that night they have to finish it. And there are so many other details to it. When they do it, they not only they just do it as a ritual. There is a very big story behind it. There is a very big story of the past for 1,000, 2,000 year old story, where it brings the old memories, the forgotten memories of the past, of how they were delivered from their slavery, how God did a big miracle to them, uh, uh, serving as a big protector to them, and breaking the bondage uh, of their captivity, and bringing them outside. So this been been called and said from one generation to another. So when there is when you see it as a dinner, so from the external point, or from the outsider, it is just a dinner you sit and eat. But the underlying truth is very, very different to it.
Thank you, sir. It was very insightful and a thought-provoking session. So we came to the conclusion of this session. So kindly fill out the feedback form, which has been shared in the chat box. Participants who had been joined through YouTube link, please fill out the feedback form which is shared in the comment section. We look forward to your enthusiastic participation for the last session tomorrow. Thank you all. Now participants can leave the meeting.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
The link is not visible, ma'am, in the chat box. I think so. You have not forwarded the link.
No, we have shared it, ma'am. It's there in the chat box.
Could you send it in the WhatsApp group which you have created it? Because it is invisible to me.
Okay, ma'am. We'll do the needful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.